half boy, half god, all hero. You're listening to Ranking Rick Riordan, a Percy Jackson podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Olga.
And I'm Clara, and today we are rather regrettably discussing the film adaptation of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief.
The critically loved and fandomly loved beautiful film.
Authorly loved.
Most importantly.
Yes. All right, so this is a bit of a bonus episode about the movie. Usually we're going to just every other week be here on Thursdays talking about the books. I'm not positive when I'm going to throw this one out. We're recording it between the first book and the second book. But it's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be a good time. This is both a video on youtube.com/doingOK and on audio podcast services. If we're not somewhere that you like, let us know. And speaking of letting you know, us know things about things, you can send us feedback at ourpodcastfeedback@gmail.com. Ooh. All right. What did you think about this film?
I saw this film the day it came out with high expectations back then in 2010. I was younger.
Yes.
I had a lot more hope.
Yes.
And I was disappointed then. And let me tell you, I didn't know that it would be possible, but I was more disappointed this time than I was then. So I don't know.
Yeah, good.
That's it. That's my review.
Olga and I watched it for the first time yesterday, and we watched it with Clara, and it was an experience unlike any other. Olga really loved it. Olga, do you want to tell us how much you loved it?
I just like it when my face tells a story. I don't watch a lot of very bad movies. I don't watch critically panned movies very often. Or, I might go into a movie where it has middling reviews and be disappointed, but that's not the same thing as knowing something sucks and watching it anyway.
Yep.
So this was torture for me. It is one of the top 5 worst movies I've ever seen.
That's a statement.
And I stand by that statement. I stand by it. I'm not saying that there weren't okay moments.
Yeah.
But the disappointment was heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so bad. The potential's up here, and the delivery is
so far down you can't see your hands anymore.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate it as much as you guys seem to.
Why?
I think because I knew it was supposed to be total trash. I didn't have any expectations at all. So
I had watched it before.
But it's a bad movie. And I'll be fascinated to see if anybody listening to this is hurt and is oh, I watched this when I was 7 and I love this movie. It's not that bad. Because I could see that occurring. But I feel like anyone who goes back and watches it now has to see the difference between something like this and something like Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's night and day.
And I think the adaptation, and we'll talk about this more, but the adaptation is not an adaptation of this book.
Yeah.
It's someone gave some guy a 10-second pitch of The Lightning Thief, and from that pitch they wrote a movie.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything else. They just were stealing a lightning bolt. The kids are the kids of gods. Yeah. That's it. That's all they did.
I studied this in social studies 20 years ago. It's in there. I can pull it up. I can manifest this into a movie. Yeah.
I joked when we were watching this that it reminded me of how Trump wants to get rid of anything Obama did.
Yeah.
And it's just every detail that happened in the book, they're well, we could do it that way, but what if we didn't do it the way that they did it? It's
screw that guy.
Yeah, it's it's really they had something to prove or something. I don't
vindictive.
know. Yeah. So, yes, an imperfect film, lots of changes. We're going to spend most of this podcast talking about those wonderful changes. I have them all listed out, all the fun ones to talk about, and we're going to start with overall, I think the most obvious change off the bat is all of the characters are 5 to 6 years older than they were in the book. Mm-hmm. Not the biggest problem I have with this movie.
I don't have a problem with that in principle.
Yeah.
Because it seems weird that this book is about a 12-year-old. Like, it didn't feel right sometimes. Like, this could be an older kid, given what he's doing. That said, like, the age difference in the actors between Percy and Annabeth was the actual problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just how old. I mean, it's one thing to cast 15 and 16-year-olds to play teenagers. It's another to cast a 25-year-old to be playing a character who in the book was 12.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
I think if they had cast like actual 14-year-olds, that would have been the sweet spot. Because, I mean, I am interested to see when they do the Disney Plus show and they're saying they're going to actually, cast age-appropriate actors. Is it going to look weird to see an actual 12-year-old fight some of these creatures?
I think it'll feel like Avatar. Like, I think...
Which Avatar?
I don't know, tonally, the beloved cartoon Avatar.
Yes.
Like, it'll have a totally different tone that's way more keeping with the books, and then it'll feel more like childish and fun.
Well, that's why, I mean, I kind of, when we talked about this last week, when we read the books, I picture it as a cartoon. And so when I think of it as a cartoon, I don't go, oh, it's weird that Percy's 12 at all. But Avatar, I mean, we saw what happened when they made Avatar live action. I'm just worried that seeing a live action 12-year-old fighting might be goofy. But because even if you look at Harry Potter, like, they weren't really fighting in the first few books.
But there are
a basilisk.
Yeah.
That's true.
But there are movie trailers, because I'm not really watching these movies, but there are movie trailers that come out, like, what is it, that kid with the sword?
Kid with
the most recent...
The kid who would be king?
Yeah, like, that didn't look that bad. I mean, it didn't look like something I would want to watch, but it didn't look goofy, necessarily.
I think of, like, Hit Girl, too, and Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's possible. And I mean, it's not the same exact thing, but also 11 in season 1 of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, can you picture season 1 Mike wielding a sword and looking cool?
Yes, and it would be, but he shouldn't look cool, right? Like, that's
true.
the thing. Like, it'll have just a totally different feel of like, hey, it's this kid and he has a sword. That's weird. Yeah, like, that's great.
And it will be really interesting to see that kid fighting Ares as opposed to this Luke thing that they went for. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm definitely excited about that. I think that, I think Annabeth being 25 was quite the choice.
Like, so much older than Logan Lerman. Like, geez.
There's a lot to love about that casting choice and directing choice and acting choice.
All right. So next up, I have Percy. My biggest issue with Percy in this is I just find him kind of bland. I don't think he's definitely not like the weakest part of the movie. I don't think he's a good part of the movie. And it's more, all of his major character moments are taken out. Everything we basically praised in the book review is gone. Because like first of all, like the first big thing is he doesn't get claimed, which is like a big moment for him and a big moment in the book. And the mystery around who he is kind of a big thing. Even if like we know it, right? Like him finding that out and the people around him finding that out, that's a big moment. I'd say that's like the end of Act 1, basically. And then like him choosing to leave his mom in the underworld, totally gone. Choosing not to kill Gabe, gone. And him choosing to leave camp, and all three of his climactic choices are all gone. Instead, it becomes just like, oh, no one understands me. I'm just a loser. Oh, now I'm not.
Yeah. Also, I mean, beyond him having choices in the book that he just doesn't have here, he also has like anger issues in the book, and he has this like kind of why me, or it's always me, and he just goes with the flow.
I think they tried to do that in this at certain moments.
Did
like
they?
With Gabe and stuff.
But that was the thing. They started it, and it didn't come off as that being like part of his character. It was him versus
just he
Gabe.
was mad at it's true.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was, before Gabe came in, he was talking to his mom about his dyslexia. He seemed kind of like you know, but the thing is, he just came off like an angsty teenager more than anything. He also had no humor to him. Like, this, the thing is, like, there were humor-ish moments in this, but it really just felt like the same level of humor that would be in any action movie these days, as opposed to it being like a core part of the story.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't feel like they were being tongue-in-cheek at all. It just felt like once in a while they had one-liners. So,
and he wasn't really the one who had
he wasn't. Them. Yeah. But on the flip side, we got Grover, who is very different. And I would say one of the best positive changes that they've made.
I would say the best.
Yeah.
I would say not just the best positive change, but just the best part of the movie was Grover.
Yeah, I would agree.
In fact, the only good part of the movie was Grover.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to me, when they're on the quest, basically getting the 3 pearls, I think is bad, but everything else is atrocious. That's what I would say. Like, getting the 3 pearls, they're working together, they have okay action moments, but then
wait, that's like the movie, though.
No,
you're saying
I'm saying everything up through Camp Half-Blood and up to them leaving is horrible.
Right. Okay.
And then everything from everything from the underworld on is also horrible.
Okay.
I'm just saying only that middle part when they're getting the pearls is it okay.
Is tolerable.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were saying that the pearls themselves, like that whole thing itself was okay.
No.
And I was like, Dan is on.
I'm just saying that
the lotus flower. Like,
the quest chunk of the movie is the most palatable.
Okay.
And I think in a lot of ways that's because it's very Grover heavy, and he actually is charismatic and funny and everything that Logan Lerman isn't. Look, I like Perks of Being a Wallflower. I don't hate him as Logan Lerman as an actor in general, but not in this movie.
Yeah.
And same thing. I mean, like, Alexandra Daddario can act, just not here. The acting and dialogue throughout this whole thing, atrocious. Absolutely awful.
Atrocious. Yeah. At best, the choices were, again, aside from Grover, at best the choices were boring.
Yeah.
At worst, they were just like, it's like lazy.
Yeah.
And that's different from boring. It's like actively not giving a crap about the
Luke's
character.
actor was passable.
He was like what he needed to be.
I liked him until like the ending. It kind of went off the rails.
Yeah,
but
it was a little too big.
Over there,
heavy-handed.
Yeah, but again, I really blame a lot of this on the direction.
So Grover, because I can't let anything be just positive.
Yeah.
All right. So they make his character like super sexy, I guess. Like,
I don't know if it's that he's a horn dog.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, his motivation is getting his horns.
Horn goat.
He's trying to get his satyr horns, his searcher horn. No, his protector horn.
The problem is that like almost everyone in this movie is horny at all times.
Yeah.
But he's like
in different ways.
Yeah, but he's like I honestly, he felt like that anime character trope that like every girl he walks into he falls in love with.
Right. Oh, that's what you were saying. He has like the Brock.
Yeah, Brock from Pokemon, but that's that's a character trope in general.
Right.
But that wasn't a huge deal for me because he generally pulled it off. If everybody else was less horny, then that would have helped. But
no.
But the biggest thing with him is that he's not aiming to get his searcher's license. He just is all about being a protector. And I understand wanting to maybe simplify his goals and just make it all about he's the best friend. He's failed at protecting before. He's just a junior protector. Then he like proves himself as a great protector. But it completely cuts out the like whole like actual interesting aspect of. You want to talk?
No.
Like the environmental aspect.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going with it. Yeah. I thought you were going with the fact that it cut out the thing that makes him a failure, which is Thalia.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also that just I don't understand what they were thinking because they knew that it would be one thing if they thought maybe we aren't going to do a whole franchise. Mm-hmm. But like they leave Luke like they don't.
No, they wanted a franchise. They definitely
and so
did.
like.
Yeah. So
What?
there are very, very many moments where I'm like, why did you get rid of this thing or change this thing if you wanted a franchise?
Like, I don't know, the Titans.
Yeah. It's very strange. So I've done far more reading about this movie and the sequel than anyone should. And I'll say, so in the deleted scenes, they talk about Thalia.
Leaving her on the cutting room floor like a chopped down Christmas tree.
Almost everything that they cut out of this
movie
that you're like, why did you do that? They put in the second movie. But that doesn't fix this movie.
No.
It just makes it even weirder.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just make the second movie then?
Yeah, like Clarice is in the second movie. It's like a very strange choice.
So in this case, if we're talking Clarice now,
there's one important thing we haven't talked about with Grover.
Oh, okay.
Which is the race bending.
Right.
And so I'm just interested in what you guys think, because on the one hand, when I saw this, I was like, oh, I kind of wish he was always black.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I talk about him wearing the Rasta cap and all that stuff in the books. But my question is that at all problematic, given that he's like part animal?
Huh.
What were you going to say, Claire?
Oh, I was going to ask whether he's definitely written as white in the books, or whether it's that weird, like he might have been black the whole time.
Like Hermione.
Like Hermione, yeah.
So similar to Hermione, I'm not positive if in the book they actually say that he's white, but every single illustration in all like 5 billion covers that they've done he's always been white.
Sure.
And again, that's why I always thought it was ridiculous that J.K. Rowling said, oh yeah, Hermione's white, except that I never had any of my artists ever depict her that.
You mean not white?
Not white, yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's bad. That's not how representation is. And same with, I don't know what Rick Riordan has said.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing is I'm trying to remember, most of the covers don't have Grover on them, but I've definitely, the pictures I have seen have always been white.
Like the official license, like agreed upon character pictures, some of which you've shown me. Yeah. And there are different illustrators.
Yeah.
He hasn't been, illustrated as anything but white.
Okay, yeah. But let's talk about, do we think it's problematic to have the one, like, animal person?
You know what? I will say in this movie, with all of its shit, yes. I mean, there are other problematic things, too, like, Persephone is also black, and they're both hypersexual as well. Yeah. So, like, this movie, yes. I, like, beyond just the satyr, part animal thing, I don't know. But also, that actor is the only
good part of the movie.
Good part of the movie.
Yeah.
So,
I wouldn't want him changed, and
Right.
It's, so I just thought it was worth bringing up.
Right.
But, like, again, I like Grover in this, so let's talk about Annabeth.
Okay, the thing we like less.
Yeah, so I'll just rattle off the major differences, and then you guys can have your moment. So not blonde. They do fix this in the sequel.
What?
Yeah. She dyes her hair blonde in the sequel.
You know.
I'm so angry. I can't.
Her famous Athena-colored hair died.
So, yes, could feel like a small thing, but, like, you want the character to look like they're written as. Like, that's why you're excited about seeing something adapted. Right. But anyway, I put sex pot here. I'd say she's more of a fighter, more directly like a battler, brawler. She's kind of replacing Clarice in this movie. She's really not shown to be wise almost ever. I'd say she has some knowledge once in a while. That's not the same thing as being wise. And she has no clear connection to Luke, and any backstory she has is very truncated. You can have the floor.
Clara, I defer to you. I yield my time.
I have such a problem with the way that they do Annabeth. She manages to get almost all of the, like, strong female character that's terribly written issues. Like, the very first thing that we see her as is, like, she's the good fighter.
Yeah.
And then the first interaction we have with her, she loses. So, like, to someone who's never fought before.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, so she's actually not that good a fighter. She doesn't get her magical object. She doesn't get a backstory. She doesn't get to talk to another female character except Medusa,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But like that's I don't know.
I was when we were watching the movie, I was trying to think about the Bechdel test, and I think that her talking to Medusa,
But does she actually say anything to Medusa?
she
She
like,
just kind of takes
"Oh
it.
no,
Yeah.
stay away from me, you."
Monster.
Any event, why does she say everything with that look on her face?
Oh, Percy.
Like when she finds it, she's like, drachma. Like, it's just like, oh my god, Annabeth.
This again, like, every change they make, almost every change they make, I'm like, okay, I kind of see why you did that, but you didn't pull it off at all.
Where's the motivation here to change?
As far as I understand why they got rid of Clarice and made her the like main battler that you see at the camp. They make her use multiple weapons. You know, I talked about one of my criticisms of the first book is Annabeth basically doesn't do anything, and she does do more things in this movie than she does in the book.
Mm-hmm. But only when there are no stakes. As soon as there are stakes, she does not. And anytime she does something that you think is good, it ends up that actually she didn't do it right. Every single time.
That's what I'm like, it's like you can do, like they made her more capable, but she never actually beat anyone. She didn't beat any of the monsters herself. She fought Luke successfully and then just like stopped. But the main thing is like, oh, you want to empower her by making her this badass, but then every single second she's doing these smolder things. And I'm like, it's so interesting how acting can make that so bad, because like, it's not like there are other things that are way worse where it's like, oh, look at the outfits they put them in, look at the, you know, Michael Bay tight shots and things like they don't fragment her body. They don't like super objectify her. But her performance and the direction around her performance just oozes this really gross.
Like you're really supposed to find her desirable.
Yeah.
I think they thought it was nuanced, but it wasn't nuanced way.
Well, because I mean, there's like they were clearly trying to do something good. If you look at the end too, where it's like, oh, she's gonna kiss him, and then she fights him instead. It's like they were like, we're making this strong. Like you were saying, they were like they were patting themselves on the back for this. Strong
you know what
character.
I'll say?
Yeah.
I'll say it's 2010.
Yeah.
And it is, isn't it? Like, I don't know, like it's a strong female character from 2010. And I bet back then it was a sort of like, a strong female character. Like I wish they were better.
Yeah.
And now it just fails miserably. Like back then it wasn't like there were no good female characters back then, but but now it's just like it's laughable.
Yeah. It's bad.
This was in the wake of Twilight.
Yeah.
Let's remember, this movie came out after Twilight. And if you just look at this character versus Bella, she is more capable. Yeah. She's not just like going with the flow. But at the same time, you say like, Annabeth doesn't do anything.
But it also is post Hermione.
Right.
You know,
like, so I could see them also being like, we don't want a Hermione redux. Yeah. We want to change it. She's going to be more of an action
Well, that's
hero.
The thing is, I think that's also straight up why they didn't make her blonde. I think they wanted her to look like a Greek warrior. Like, you know, like I think they, like I was talking, it was like, I think they wanted her to look like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I think that they wanted her to like be a badass.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
And it's okay if Annabeth was more badass. Yeah. Like, but the things that made her like clever in the book, the things that made her actually like, her. You say that she didn't do much in the book, and yet her mind was more pivotal than any like action that she did. And it's just neither her action nor her intelligence were pivotal in the movie. What is there to look up to?
Yeah.
She doesn't even get to have like a real interest in architecture.
Yeah.
Which you could have done with just her reading a book. Like you could have done this.
She could have like just like started babbling about the Parthenon or whatever, where they were.
Have her like smoldering and doing her breathy acting as she's like, oh my God, columns.
Yeah, columns.
That's good. That's good stuff, Olga.
Thank you.
Quality pillars.
I know who I'm going to be next Halloween. Get me that armor.
But like, so it even goes beyond just like her, right? It's like her interactions with Percy are not good. And that's also on Percy.
Yeah.
I actually, in theory, like the idea of taking out Clarice and making them more directly rivals. And they could have done more of what you were making fun of in the book, where it's like actual enemies to lovers trope.
Yeah,
and they could have
fun.
They could have been butting heads throughout the thing, but instead they were butting heads for like a minute and a half, and then there was nothing.
And then he kicked her ass.
Yeah.
And then he kicked her ass.
Yeah. She says that line early on where she's like, I don't know how I feel about you yet, or whatever. And it's like, then there's like almost zero interaction besides that weird school moment.
Have we sufficiently crapped upon these characters?
Well, okay. So I do want to say a little bit more about her backstory changing.
Okay, right.
So she has a backstory in that she's always lived at camp. She never really has gone out and faced the world for real. And they changed things and made it so that she's never met her mother. So that's a backstory-ish, but they take out all of the they cut out Thalia, they cut out her father. Her not knowing her mother doesn't really add anything because we already have Percy not knowing his father.
Well, that becomes and it's actually all Poseidon's fault that no child, no demigod knows their parent.
Yeah.
And that's actually what motivates Luke.
Yeah.
Not
They take out Annabeth's mortal backstory, right?
Yeah.
And similarly, they make Percy's mortal backstory essentially not compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't go back.
Yeah.
They take out his connections, all of their connections to the mortal world, which sucks.
Yeah.
Because camp is more interesting.
I think it's because they want it to be Harry Potter.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are, you don't go to Hogwarts for only 2 months a year. That's lame.
Yeah.
But you could.
All right. So a few things.
Could've.
Here's my list of world building and plot changes. They don't mention the mist at all, not just they don't mention it, but some random mortal sees Medusa's head and knows it's Medusa's head.
Yeah.
So there isn't mist ? All of these battles, people can just look up and see it. That's weird. Also, I just don't think that they explained this world ever.
No.
At all.
I think that would have helped make, even if it's not actually wise, I think it would have helped Annabeth to explain things, would have made her at least seem like someone in the know a little bit more. I also have core beloved things are missing. No orange camp Half-Blood shirts, no camp beads, no calling him Seaweed Brain, no magic baseball cap, and just camp Half-Blood sucks in general.
Oh, it's the stupidest looking thing.
How hard is it? They describe Camp Half-Blood in every single friggin' book. And how hard is it to just take what's on the page and make it, because it already sounded cool.
Also, the orange t-shirts, I had one.
Yeah.
There are pictures of me in my orange Camp Half-Blood t-shirt. It's merchandise.
Yeah.
You could have had merchandise. Why didn't you want the merchandise? What?
Instead, buy this pearl. Put it on a shelf.
My biggest issue with it is, why did they make it so cramped? It does not look like a place I want to live at all. It looks like it's 3 feet.
It looks like a weird rundown shack in the woods.
Yeah.
With a weird pier at the end.
Yeah.
Which, sure.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have fields, multiple fields.
And a big house.
And a dining pavilion.
Farms.
And
I mean, fine. No strawberry field. Sure. Okay. Whatever. But it doesn't look like a camp.
Yeah.
They have to walk across the archery area just to get from point A to point B.
But that was big comedy, Olga.
Oh, God.
Big comedy. No, it just felt very claustrophobic. And to me, it also smacked of, hey, we don't have the mist, so this has to be tiny. As opposed to, hey, we have the mist, so we can go into this huge world that nobody would ever know was here. So they cut the St. Louis Arch. I'm not super upset about that. I think replacing it with the Nashville thing made sense.
I could see how the fact that it exploded, why that would be iffy.
I get the visual concerns as well, but it was our favorite location in the last book.
Yeah.
So it is
a major
whoever
thing.
made this movie was what's the best location? We'll cut that one.
Yeah. You talk about the fact that they knew this was going to be a ongoing thing. The Hydra is in the second book, guys. Why didn't you just wait for like a chimera is cool too?
Yeah.
Like I don't really understand that choice.
I don't either.
They cut out Procrustes, totally understandable on that one.
Sure.
Cutting out the rest of the Furies / the Furies coming back, weird choice in my opinion.
It comes down to like completely disregarding the source material.
Well, to me, it really feels like it was made in a boardroom of people who said, we want our Harry Potter, get the Harry Potter guy to do this too. He can do it again. We'll have 7 movies, blah, blah, blah.
What's the thing where people like test it, like do like this or this?
Oh, yeah.
This or this, like that.
A/B testing.
Yeah. And they just had like potential audience and they're like, oh, I don't know. I like Nashville more than I like St. Louis. So I like, what's it called? The Hydra more than the Chimera. Like,
yeah. I understand that like certain things you have to adapt. Like
right.
I'm open to certain, like I'm not like totally against all changes.
Yeah.
But like the fact that apparently the second movie combines stuff from the 5th book, I'm like, what are you doing? That's insanity.
Why? But we're prejudging that before we've gotten there. There's plenty to hate in this movie.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Another thing I think is very strange to cut, Waterland.
Right?
You want, especially if you're trying to push the romance between Annabeth and Percy, like that's their moment.
Well, if the entire
But they didn't want to do Ares.
Yeah.
Well, if the entire movie is their moment, then like, you know, if they're pushing
I feel like they replaced all of Waterland with him just in the pool and then him healing her.
Yep.
Okay, so now there's some fundamental issues that are not just changes, but changes that break the movie. Such as the quest is just to save Sally in this version. Nobody has a plan to save her, and no one has a plan to find the lightning bolt or to stop the war. There's a war brewing. We're constantly hearing weather reports and things, and they're doing nothing the entire movie to try to stop what's going on. They don't care at all about the lightning or about Zeus, which makes no sense. And then even if they were like, okay, you know what, Percy really cares about his mom like he does in the book, and if they went that like way harder, it doesn't make sense to me that Grover and Annabeth don't give a crap about anything else either.
I'm actually deeply confused right now about who stole the lightning bolt.
Luke.
So Luke stole it just because he wanted it.
No, because he wanted Poseidon and Zeus to fight each other.
Yeah.
So, and he was just gonna hang on to it, and then he decided, no, he could give it to Hades. But he came up with this plan by himself.
Yes.
And then he decided to frame
Percy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the son of Poseidon?
But why?
Because of Poseidon.
But why? But
why?
Okay. So
explain the movie.
Luke's whole goal in this version is just to make everybody fight each other, which I guess is technically his goal in the book too. But like he said, oh, I realized giving you the bolt would be the easiest way to get it to Hades. So I guess he was trying to think of a clever way to get it to Hades, and this worked out for him.
Because he was afraid of going to Hades and not coming back out?
Yeah, probably.
Even though he knew about the pearls?
Well, but here's the thing. He does. So the other thing that makes no sense is he says the line, you weren't supposed to get back here, except for the fact that he gave them literally a map and explained how you pick up all the things so that you can escape the underworld.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense.
I guess he just assumed that that Hades would like kill them.
Why didn't he just say, hey, the underworld's in California, go. I'm sure you'll find your way out.
It's been done 5 times before. Why not?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No. So, and the other thing is, to me, just not having him connected to Ares or Kronos in any way makes him feel more like a moron.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, your goal is to, he wants him and the demigods, I guess, to rule the planet. And he thinks that by having the gods fight each other, that will lead to him ruling the planet. I'm like, you realize the gods fighting each other will destroy the planet, right? And kill you.
If he wants to destroy the gods, why doesn't he keep the lightning bolt?
That's a great question. Also, really, like, where's all his anger coming from? At least in the book, like, fine. You want to, not actually fine if you want to cut Kronos, but like, let's say you cut out the Titans. Let's just go with that.
Which again is really stupid for ongoing story.
Correct. But let's just say it. You cut out the Titans. Mm-hmm. And why not have Luke still like fail the quest and like be acting out of this like bitter disappointment. His motivation is just like,
my daddy doesn't come and talk to me.
Yeah.
But like none of them can because they haven't been allowed. So like, I don't know, take it up with Zeus, asshole.
Right, like what makes this, and I mean, I guess he tries, but like, it's just not enough. He's not like
and the
bitter
other thing is
enough.
that even in the book, in just book 1, there's not enough there because you'll get more later. And to me, that's okay because he's like the denouement in the book.
Yeah.
Like this is like, he is the antagonist now. And so he just comes off like it's a really annoying, dumb one.
Yeah.
And the other thing to me, like the fact that he can just use the bolt and that they have a big flying superhero fight.
If you can do that, kill Zeus.
Well, and so my other thing is
problem solved.
A change I would have made, like I don't think that this is like I wouldn't have done this just in general, but given what they had, just make him a son of Zeus. Yeah. Like if they made him a son of Zeus and he was particularly angry at Zeus because Zeus was the one who made the decree and Zeus.
This is good.
Yeah, like because Zeus was like, I don't want to be around my kids. They make me human.
Yeah.
And he was like disgusted by that or something. And then guess what? He can fly and use lightning.
Right.
So that would have made a lot more sense. Also, than Hermes, who we don't even see in this movie.
Also, if he's like, oh, Hermes has like tons of flying shoes, he won't care. Yeah. Fine, have the son of Zeus just like steal stuff also from Hermes if he has so many shoes.
Son of Zeus can fly on his own.
Oh, right.
That's what I'm saying. He's literally doing what Zeus can do.
Right.
Sons of Zeus can control lightning and fly. So, and then meanwhile, we decide to give the son of the sea flying powers.
Right. He's not supposed to. That's not his territory. That's like a big deal. Yeah. He's not supposed to be like, why not have him like ride a wave? Why not have him be more Aquaman like at that point?
Well, that's the thing is I understand the basic idea behind going, hey, this book has 3 villains. Let's just make it 1 villain. I'm like, okay, sure. I get that, except for the fact that I think the final fight scene, beyond just being stupid, is bad.
Yeah.
As opposed to the book where we said it was cool.
Right.
And it would have looked way cooler to see the book version. And the fact that you are trying to build an ongoing story. And it's not like Kronos is really in the book. He's just in the background. Like,
you removed the pit scene and you removed Tartarus, which was like cool and scary and like,
and that brings up the whole thing that they can completely ruin the underworld in general.
So I was wondering when we'd get to that. You mentioned how there's only one villain and it's Luke, but like they are trying to make Hades the villain.
A villain.
They're just like, yes, he does want the lightning bolt, and look, he's abusive to Persephone, and look, the underworld is just very typical Christian looking hell. Like anything cool about the underworld, another setting we really liked.
Yeah.
Gone, wiped out. Really lame, like version of Hades too. Like, oh, he's Russell Brand now because Russell Brand was like trendy in 2010.
Yeah.
So cliche, so lame. Don't actually do anything with that. He's not actually funny. He doesn't have like weird dry wit or exudes like charisma.
He doesn't exude anything. He's just annoying.
He doesn't exude like he's Hitler or a suicide bomber, which is funny because in this one he's the villain.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is again, it's like, so they had 3 villains. They're like, that's too many. We'll just have Luke, but also Hades, who wasn't a villain.
Yeah.
They can't even.
And let's bring in Persephone, who's in the underworld during spring. Because we know mythology. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, let's make her like a badass female character, but also
in the worst way that they do that.
Yes.
Well, they combine her in a way with Aphrodite by being like, she cheats on Hades with every man she sees as a way of like, you know, like, you keep me here. And it's like, well, the whole thing from the book was that
Hephaestus.
Aphrodite cheats on Hephaestus with Ares. Yeah. So they kind of try to make Hades more like Ares, but they're like with none of the charisma or interest.
Well, no, it seems like they were in that world. They were making Hades Hephaestus. They just wanted Rosario Dawson, I guess. Like, again, like, I think that they were trying to also do a version of what happens with Sally in the book and like tell another like abuse storyline, like an empowering one. That's,
I don't think that it's female empowerment to have her flirting with a teenager.
Yeah.
Because we see Grover in high school, like flirting with a teenager and making him obviously uncomfortable. That's not empowerment. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
Well, and then the other thing that I noticed that people were pointing out is that Persephone supposedly makes these pearls. She could just make a fourth one and all four of them could go.
Oh, no. She traps Grover
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because she's interested in him.
Yeah.
That's gross.
It's weird. And then it's also honestly weird that Zeus is just like, oh yeah, I'll make Hades set him free. Like, since when is Hades gonna listen to you?
Yeah. Since when do you have that kind of power?
Yeah, I don't know.
Since when are you Sean Bean?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try to get us back to the original track here. So let's see.
I'm exhausted.
Pearl thing is dumb. Has no mythological basis at all.
Right.
Whereas everything in the book tries to root itself in some mythological basis. Again, it reeks of, oh, we have to do like the most basic story structure ever. They have to collect these 3 magical items. And I'm like, or they just have to travel across the country and encounter monsters along the way, because that makes sense too.
Right.
Lotus Hotel changes. Good, in my opinion.
Fine.
Yes.
For the fact that they aged them up, I thought appropriate. This was like the one time I was like, I'm glad these characters are aged up so we can have this fun, cool
And I
party
like
scene.
that they actually have to eat the flowers. I thought that was definitely one of the highlights of the movie.
It was a good change.
Yeah.
This is like, I think you've said it. I don't know how much you've like said it here, but again, we can like find the motivations for some of these changes. Like you can see behind the curtain a little bit with some of them. This is the only change that works for visual and aged up motivation. Yeah.
All right, so I think the last big thing to talk about is Gabe, which I actually do think is a good change, personally, especially if you watch the post-credit sequence. Clara, did you end up getting to watch this?
I didn't, because I want to hear your recap of
Okay,
it.
all right. So Sally doesn't use Medusa to kill Gabe. She just tells Percy, I kicked him out. And in the post-credit sequence, Gabe comes into the apartment and Sally's like, get your stuff and get out of here. For some reason, I'm talk like this in
That
this
would be
movie.
more interesting a choice than what they did with
so
her.
fun.
And so she is, she's like tough about it. And he's like, how am I supposed to pick up all my stuff? Oh. And then he's like, I need a beer. So she like goes somewhere and he goes to the fridge to get a beer and it has a padlock on it. And he's like, what's this? And it has a big piece of paper on it that says like, do not open, very dangerous or whatever. And he's like, oh, this kid, oh, I can't even, I'm still the king of my castle. And so he breaks open the padlock, opens up the fridge, and Medusa's head is in there and he turns to stone.
That's great. And also, I feel like that retelling was probably better than the scene. So I appreciate that a lot.
I just like, as funny as that is, though, it's like, why wouldn't you have Medusa's head facing the other way or wearing her sunglasses when it's in the
Don't think about it too hard. They just show her eyes and then like cut to black because they don't want to like show for the kids that like he like actually turns to stone. But then you hear him like crumpling. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Why would he just crumple?
Because Sally whacked him with a golf club or something.
So I will say, overall, I prefer this to the book because she still has her strength in kicking him out. And he ends up very much doing this to himself because he also doesn't pay attention to the padlock. So I think that generally that's better. But the problem is overall, Sally is terrible. So
she's just blah. Yeah. I just like every adult actor is bad.
Yeah.
And not many of the other actors are good.
Did we want to say anything about the opening like 5 minutes?
Weird.
It sucked so hard.
Yeah.
Like the opening started like just the like production stuff. Yeah. And Dan was like, how far in were you when you watched this that you knew it was bad? I was like, I feel like I got a good like couple of minutes. And we got 20 seconds and I was like, nope, never mind.
We were literally like, opening credits, all of the production companies, fantastic.
This is a great film.
The acting was terrible. It was just 0 to 100 way too fast. The dialogue was bad.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
It was plain old stupid. Yeah. This movie is stupid.
Yeah.
And not like the kind of stupid. Dan and I were like sitting, and when I was saying I don't watch a lot of like knowingly bad movies, at least there are some movies that are like stupid in a way where you can like make fun of it. You laugh at it. Kind of like like The Room. Like that's a bad
They're having
movie.
fun too.
Yeah.
Like everyone's having fun with this.
Yeah.
But this is like, you know, in my top 5 with the Fantastic Four reboot. Like it's aggressively bad choices, boring choices, and bad acting.
Yeah.
So I had written in our outline that we would do the normal ranking of like best monster and all that stuff, not to put with the rest of it, just for fun.
Okay.
Want to do the worst ones instead?
Yes,
Ooh,
please.
Okay.
yeah.
Worst hero.
Annabeth.
Annabeth.
Yeah.
Worst location, I would say Underworld.
Yeah.
Underworld.
Yeah.
I was going to say
It's
maybe
Christian.
Yeah.
I was going to say maybe Camp Half-Blood.
Oh, that might be more important overall.
It feels harsher, that like it feels more sad that Camp Half-Blood sucks. But the Underworld is just like
it's Christian.
Yeah.
It just has none of the things. We don't see Cerberus. We see some weird looking hellhounds.
The hellhounds
We don't see Charon. We don't see any of the traffic jam. We don't see the field.
Yeah.
Like not.
we don't see Elysium.
I will say, at least that could be explained by budget cuts.
Yeah.
The feel of Camp Half-Blood didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
So I'll switch my answer, although I am very mad
Okay,
Yeah.
so
at
we're
the Christian Underworld.
We're going with Camp Half-Blood?
Like, yeah,
Okay.
it's worse.
I will say also, you might not know this, but the hellhounds are supposed to be humongous. So they changed that too. Hellhounds are supposed to be like bigger than people. So there's that. Best worst god.
Zeus.
No.
Poseidon.
No.
Hades.
Hades.
Yeah. Worst monster? Probably Medusa. We didn't even talk about Medusa.
She was another female character that had to be sexy.
Yeah.
Weird. Weird.
Uma Thurman's performance was campy enough that I could watch it without hating how I was spending my time.
My reason for why she would be the worst is I think that her action sequence was horrendous.
Yeah,
you're
Like,
right.
it was by far the worst action sequence.
I don't know. I feel like the fight with Luke was so
That's
boring.
true, but he's not a monster.
And so long. Well,
Yeah.
Is
Only
he a
on the
what
monster?
is a monster?
Yeah, the Minotaur.
We're the Walking Dead.
The Minotaur was like not good, but
Yeah.
it wasn't
Terrible.
I mean, I can understand. I can wave that away with budget, but yeah, like Medusa was supposed to be more interesting than that.
Yeah.
And after we got all of like Annabeth's sex appeal, we didn't really need that from Medusa.
They also whitewashed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's a weird thing to say because generally Medusa is usually shown as white, but not in this book.
Right.
So,
Let's go ahead and say Medusa.
Yeah.
It's Medusa.
I'm mad.
yeah. I will say,
Again.
if I was going to pick best, I actually think the Hydra was pretty good.
It was, yeah.
Even though it's spit fire instead of acid, which why? But
That's just, again, no one's paying attention. No one gives a crap except us.
All right. Worst hero was Annabeth. Worst god was Hades. Worst location was Camp Half-Blood. And worst monster was Medusa.
And worst use of my time was this movie. Boom.
All right. So,
Please. We're going to have a lot of people who like grew up on this movie really mad at us, aren't
We'll
we?
see.
Here's the thing. Like you can if you grew up with this movie and you liked it, I'm so happy because I really wanted to like it.
Yeah.
And so if you can watch this movie and feel joy, I love that for you.
For you, yeah.
But it is not an adaptation of the book.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, change my mind. It is.
if anybody enjoys the movie, that's fine. I'm happy for you. If you think it's a good movie, maybe you should re-examine your life. All right, all that said, we will be back, and apparently we have to wait a while to do the Sea of Monsters movie because it has stuff from the 5th book. So
No spoiler.
I guess we're gonna do it when we're done with the 5th book.
I need a break.
Greek you later.
Nope.
We hope you're doing okay. Bye.
Season's Greekings.
Oh, God.
I love it.